How you supposed to win the chip if your Scottie Pippen turns into Dennis Rodman in the playoffs? What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Chip Overseas. We back with another classic. Before we start the video, I want to say thank you guys for the support. The channel's been growing really fast. We're on the way to 1K. You guys get on the winning team. And without further ado, let's skip the boring stuff and let's get right to the video. The NBA season is about 3/4 of the way done, and Oklahoma City is the #1 team in the league. They're running through all the other top teams in the league, all the other contenders. They recently just beat Denver, Boston. They're rolling right now. Everybody is on the OKC bandwagon. Everybody knows OKC, they play so hard. They're so tough. They're dominating the regular season with a 54-12 record, 8-2 in the last 10 games. I feel like I'm the only one that has some level of skepticism when it comes to OKC. And I'm going to tell you why. See, everybody knows in basketball, there's the regular season and then there's the playoffs. JJ Redick said it in an interview recently. In the NBA, the cheat code is playing really, really hard. Now, here's the thing about playing really, really hard. That's only the cheat code for the regular season, because in the playoffs, everybody plays hard. In the playoffs, everybody's giving their 110% because there's no tomorrow. I feel like you can kind of get away with playing extremely hard and people fall for it every year. In the last 2 seasons, the Cavs looked like they were contenders in the regular season. And then they get to the playoffs where the game slows down a little bit. The physicality increases a little bit. Everybody is matching your intensity. And then look how the Cavs fared the last 2 postseasons. They crumbled. For me, OKC is kind of in the same boat, but nobody's seeing that. So I'm going to take a look at the numbers and I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing and why I feel like OKC is not as real as everybody is thinking. Let's start with the head of the snake, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA for short. I just heard a cool nickname for him on the Bill Simmons podcast. They called him the bonus because he's always in the bonus. He's drawing 10 fouls a game. He's shooting 20 free throws a game. I saw a stat that said he made 400 free throws and the next closest person to him hadn't even made 300 free throws yet. So that lets you know the kind of player Shai is. People always accuse him of foul baiting, but one thing you can't confuse him of is he gonna get his numbers. Shai is a consistent 30, 8, and 5 guy. He can get that on any given night. And the most impressive thing about Shai is that he low-key can do it on a 60% clip. If you got a guard that can shoot a 60% clip, like that's extremely dangerous because they're not just taking layups under the rim at 7 foot. You know, Shai is hitting tough midi pull-ups. He's hitting tray balls. He's getting to the rim. He's being crafty around the rim. He's one of the best finishers in the league. He's not the strongest, but he's wiry strong. And he knows how to use his acceleration, deceleration. He knows how to use his start and stop. Luka Doncic does a great job as well. But with Shai, he's a little bit more athletic than like a Luka. So he can get it off a little bit cleaner. Obviously, Luka has that body. He can use his size to his advantage. Once he gets by you, he puts you on that hip. He got a wide frame. He puts you on that big frame, puts you in jail, and there's nothing you can do. With Shai, it's more methodical, quick spurts, change direction, stop on a dime, pull up, stop on a dime, hezzy, bring it back. So there's a lot of nuances to his game, which makes him very hard to guard. But let's look at the numbers a little bit deeper. I'm looking at Shai in the playoffs because that's what matters, right? Everybody's game elevates a little bit in the playoffs. 2024, last season, he was just in the playoffs. He lost to the Mavs. Funny enough, I just talked about Luka. He just lost to Luka. They won game 1, and they lost 4 of the next 5. I feel like with Shai, he's just getting used to being the superstar. He's just getting used to averaging 30, couple years back to back to back. When he first got in the playoffs, when he was with the Clippers, he was a guy that was a 6th man. He was a good, promising prospect, but he hadn't really put it together yet. About 13 points a game. Then he came back in 2020, about 16 points a game, which was down from his average that year. That was like the first year he was becoming the man. And then in 2024, it was all together now because he was averaging 30, a potential MVP guy, and the table was set for him. So let's look at his numbers in 2024. In the playoffs, Shai's free throw percentage goes down from 87 to 79. His field goal percentage goes down from 54 to 50. That's a big part of it. 50% is not bad for a guard at all. However, when you're used to your guard getting it done in 19, 18 shots a game, if you got to take 23, 24 shots a game, that changes the course of the whole team. Also with the free throw percentage. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the regular season. You can't be one of the best free throw shooters in the regular season shooting 79% in the playoffs. That's horrible. Points per game. He's steady at a 30 clip. That's fine. 30 in the regular season, 30 in the playoffs. 3-point percentage. He actually goes up. That's the funny thing about him. Seems to be taking harder shots in the playoffs, and they just seem to drop from the 3. So what does that say to me? That doesn't tell me that he's nervous. I don't think he gets to the playoffs and just is scared because those kind of guys have low percentages from the three-point line. For me, Shai is the kind of guy that guys just play him a little bit different in the playoffs. People are kind of used to, when you're seeing that 4 or 5 times in a row, you kind of adjust to it. You adapt to it. There's little things you can do. You stop getting that whistle in playoffs as well. So you can get a little more physical with him. How does he play with physicality? In the regular season, he's the one that initiates contact. He does a great job of that. And that also leads into why he gets to shoot so many free throws, because he's in control. Once you make contact first, you're in control. Guys stop calling those fouls. Guys get into them a little bit more. Hand check is a little bit more available in the playoffs. Nerves, maybe you could say nerves going from 87% to 79%. Maybe you could say that. That's more mental and focus. But then I looked at his Olympics stats, because I remember in the Olympics, Team Canada was supposed to be doing pretty good. Everybody was high on Canada. People thought they had a chance. I mean, they weren't one of the big dogs, America and France and Serbia, but they should have been that tier under. But in the Olympics, I saw something different. When it was the smaller teams, he was beating up on the smaller teams. But when it was the more physical teams that had team defensive concepts, Spain, France, he struggled. In the Olympics, he shot 72% from the free throw line, 33% from the three-point line, with a shorter three-point distance. That's not normal. Look at a guy like Carmelo Anthony. He's usually around a 25 to 30% shooter from the three. He gets into overseas FIBA rules, and he's shooting 40% clips. That's more normal, because the three-point line overseas is guys' twos, pull-up twos in the league. So why is your percentage going down? Guys are more physical with you. He struggled with Spain. He struggled with France. Spain is, they weren't as good this year, but come on, man. Those are smart basketball minds over there. They know how to neutralize a nuke. So Shai can be neutralized, and that's the biggest problem. 2020, look at his stats. As I mentioned before, went from 19 a game to 16 a game, points per game. Then his three-point percentage actually took a bump from 35 to 40. So it's inconsistencies. I think if I could generalize everything in one term, that's what I would say about Shai in the postseason, until he proves me wrong, which he might do this year, who knows. But the biggest thing on him is inconsistency. Then you look at his supporting cast. J-Dub, Jalen Williams. Everybody is so high on Jalen Williams in the regular season, and then the playoffs come, and it's like everybody gives him the pass. Nick Wright just said this about Jaylen Brown. He's in the sweet spot of an NBA player, is that if you play good, everybody's like, oh, he's so underrated. But when you play like crap, nobody says anything. They just like, oh, well, everybody else didn't do their job either. But Jalen Williams, he looks like a completely different player in the playoffs. That's your number 2 guy. That's your number 2 go-to. How are you supposed to win the chip if your Scottie Pippen turns into Dennis Rodman in the playoffs? So with Jalen Williams, he keeps his 19 points per game average. 2024 playoffs, he averaged 19 in the regular season, averaged 19 in the postseason. Field goal percentage, 54 in the regular season, 47 in the playoffs. Three-point percentage, 42%, which is really good, to 38%. So he's taking more shots, and he ain't hitting. That's your number 2 guy. That's your Robin to your Batman. Chet, three-point percentage, regular season, 37. He's young. He was a rookie, so I'm not going to live and die by these stats. Chet actually looks like he's going to be a number 2 guy this postseason, if you ask me. Come back to this video when the regular season is done. I think Chet emerges as SGA's number 2 this postseason. But last year, he went from 37% to 26%. It's not great. So what does that mean in the landscape of the Western Conference? Right now, the Thunder are slated to finish first. They're most likely going to end up finishing first in the West. They're on pace to face either the T-Wolves, the Clippers, the Kings, or the Mavs. There's good matchups in that for their favor with everybody except for the Timberwolves. I mean, a lot of these teams at the top of the West are kind of in that mold, that OKC mold, where they play extremely hard and they're hustling and they're fighting, they're scrappy. They got numbers, they got wings, 6'7" wings that all can go athletic and shoot and all that stuff. Those are great for the regular season. But in the playoffs, stars, 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 and matchups, matchups, matchups. Do you have the stars? Do your stars come to play? And do you have the matchups? All right. I think that Thunder struggle against a Denver. They struggle against a Golden State and the LA. I just do. I think everybody else is a cakewalk, and maybe Minnesota could get frisky, but I don't think Minnesota has that size to really impose their will on an OKC. We're going to keep an eye on it. You guys let me know what you think. Is OKC for real? Am I missing something? Are they going to be the next NBA champs? You guys let me know in the comments. But until then, if you like the video, like the video. If you got a comment on the video, comment on the video. And if you subscribe to me, I subscribe to you. Peace.